2 years ago, we bought what was supposed to be our dream property, but things have not turned out exactly how I was hoping. But honestly, I couldn't be happier because things have changed for the better. More on that later, but let me catch you up first on how we got here. So this is where it all started, right here in this garage, way back when we moved to Nashville from Ohio. And of course, when we moved here, it did not look like this. When I moved into this house, it was just a 2-car garage with a couple of light bulbs and nothing on the walls. And of course, my wife was parking in the garage at that time. Somehow I convinced her to park outside and she has never been back since. So if you're fighting that battle with your spouse, good luck. I started this channel in this exact garage in 2013. And as I started getting from benchtop tools to stationary tools and adding those things off of eBay and Craigslist, things started filling up really fast. And also, I've got 3 kids and they have toys. They were in elementary school at the time, so between wagons and tricycles and scooters and footballs, things were getting really tight, really fast. And it was a constant struggle to keep organized. But that's when I really started getting into wanting to be organized and having a place for everything and everything in its place and trying to get rid of clutter. So I started coming up with storage and organization projects that would make this place work better. And that worked out really well. Being able to make a lot of cabinets that have just added a ton of organization for all the small items, as well as tools and workstations like the flip-top tool cart to get the most out of every little square inch of this garage. But the more the channel grew and as I started getting in tools from sponsors and just from new tools that I wanted to check out as new technologies came out, things were getting really tight. And in 2017, as I took this full time, things were really coming to a boiling point. I got to the point where basically I couldn't bring anything else into the shop unless something else left. I was really at wit's end and at the capacity of the workshop. And things started getting cluttered and it's kind of been that way for a while. But thanks to social media and thanks especially to all of you guys out there who have been supporting the channel for a long time, I was actually able to leave my full-time job in 2017 and go into full-time content creation. And that was just a dream come true for me to work for myself. But as part of that, that really kicked off the dream of getting out of this small space. So I got away from working for the man, but I still had somebody that was controlling my life. That was the dreaded HOA. If you are in the suburbs of an HOA, you know what I'm talking about. Basically, we can have nothing outside, no sheds, no storage outside, or we'll get the dreaded letter that they're gonna, sue me into oblivion. So that was something else that I really wanted to get away from. So that's when we really started wanting property. And I wanted to get out into the country and get away from the suburbs and somewhere where I could just spread my wings. And maybe if I wanted to put an 82 Chevy on the blocks in the front yard, I can. And no HOA is gonna tell me what to do. But unfortunately, I had just started a brand new business, quit my job with the stable income and health benefits. And as a new YouTuber, that was not in the budget. But in 2018 and 2019, the channel really took off and that was awesome and it started getting stable income and we kind of started getting to a spot where we could actually look at getting some property. We wanted 5+ acres and we wanted to have some place that had a place for a new shop. And right as we really started getting interested in looking, the pandemic happened. And those were pretty scary times with a young business, not knowing how that was gonna be affected and with health concerns with friends and family, everything just kind of stopped. But then after things settled down and we started getting back into looking for properties, that's when the housing market blew up. And if you were looking for housing during that time, you know how it was. Things were getting snapped up left and right, multiple offers. Here in Nashville, the median listing price went from under $400,000 to over $560,000 in less than 2 years. That is a 40% increase. So now all of a sudden the properties that we'd been looking at were again well out of our range and it was not great. So we just kind of waited things out. And in 2023, the housing market kind of cooled down just a little bit. And at the same time, a property came up that met most of our needs. And we went and looked at it and we jumped on it. So that's where we landed at this property. And we have a little bit over 6 acres. We have a little 1,800 square foot house that was built in the early 80s. And it looks like it was built in the early 80s. Every room in this house is pretty much original to how it was when it was built, but we like that because we're DIYers. We could put in new cabinets, do new flooring, and just really make it our own. But what I was really excited about was the 30 by 35 metal pole barn, which I could use for the shop and that was detached right over by the house. And it's exactly what I was looking for. And we brought you guys along for the journey. So if you've been following the channel, you probably saw some of these videos where we started going through the shop, and there were some interesting finds in the walls, some secrets, and some things, you know, we won't talk about because, you know. Now, we were able to keep our other house, and the idea was to slowly remodel the shop, the house, and then just bring the family over because we do have 3 kids and we didn't want to live in the remodel at the time. And we started tearing things apart. We documented this on the channel with the shop, and I wanted to get that up and going so I could move everything over and keep the business running. And that's where we started running into some issues. After emptying everything out of the shop, I wanted to just tear it down and go to the studs. And we had this little room in the back. It was actually a deer butchering room. So former owners used to shoot deer off of the hill and then bring them in and actually process the deer in that back room and then have meat for them to eat through the rest of the year. Now, we're still haunted till this day with the ghost deer, so we're trying to make amends. But after we tore that down and really got down to the base level, that's where the problem started arising. First of all, we realized that it was built way too low and that water was getting in every time it rained. Also, when we were looking at the structure after we took down that butchering room, some of those structural members were rotten straight through. And things were just holding on by a hope and a prayer and maybe like a drywall screw. The metal of the building was also in very rough shape. We had some leaks in the roof and everything was super oxidized and faded. So as I started trying to figure out how we could remodel this, put some new paint on it, or even maybe some new metal, things started becoming very clear that it would be way less expensive to actually tear it down and start completely over brand new. Now, at the same time, we were having issues with the house. So what we wanted to do with our family of 5 is to expand this 1,800 square foot 3-bedroom home into like a 4-bedroom, maybe 3,000 square foot house. But as we started looking at the perk sites for the septic tanks, which I had never dealt with because I always lived in suburbs with sewer, we found out that actually we can't do a 4-bedroom house here. And that's probably something I should have looked at, but you know, we're jumping on the house and we want to make sure we got it. So not only could we not do a septic system for 4 people, also building the house out to the sides wasn't going to work out like we thought it would because of the property lines and offsets and easements and basically a whole lot of things that we probably should have looked into beforehand. But like I said, we were jumping on this property, so it didn't get away from us. So all in all, our dreams for the shop and for the house were kind of in shambles, and that's why we haven't been putting out a lot of content around this house, because then what we decided to do was, instead of our dream, maybe this is the dream for the business. Maybe this is the dream property for Fix This, Build That. And how can we build a building that would allow us to achieve all the things that we want to do with the business? And so that's where we had that mindset shift, and this turned into something very different. Now, before we could start building the new dream and the new shop, we had to tear down our old dream, which was the old shop. But of course, being the thrifty DIYer, I wanted to save as much material as I could. So I actually tore down the backside of the breezeway, got the metal off of that, and got a lot of those posts and beams because there's some good wood there. And actually it's sitting around me right now. And hopefully I'll be able to use that in some future projects. But I only got so far ripping things down before the skid steer showed up. And when he showed up, he meant business. He went to town and just tore down that building in a matter of minutes. It was amazing to see how fast it went through, and honestly, it looked like a tornado had come through. But they rolled in a couple dumpsters and got all that material off-site, and then they could start the site work, building up the area to make sure we didn't have any water issues on the new building. But after seeing what they cleared, I was beginning to wonder if I had gone a little too big, because it looked way larger than what I saw on my computer screen when I drew it in SketchUp. But it was so exciting. And that was 9 months ago. And as you can see, we've been doing a lot. I'm excited to announce Workshop Goals. Workshop Goals is going to be our new channel that this building is going to be the anchor of. We are building the dreams here. Our mission is to empower makers to transform their workshops into an efficient and organized space so you can better enjoy building, crafting, whatever you do in your workshop. Now, we still have a lot of work to do here. So if you want to join the community and see what we've built, head on over to Workshop Goals, and I'll see you over there.